What's up, everybody? It's Legal Tender. I'm back in the building. I'm back in the vote. Pulled out some notes to make a new video. Thank you for everyone that supports the channel. I really do mean that. So thank you, and I'm gonna always say that. If you're a fan of numismatics, if you are a fan of paper currency, if you're just getting into the hobby of numismatics, stay rocking with me, stay rocking with the channel. Every Tuesday is Legal Tender Tuesday, and I will be making a new episode every week speaking about something new, different, or interesting within the realm of numismatics. Any questions, comments, or input, put it down in the comments section. I read everything and I respond back immediately. Thank you for the comments. I love reading your comments, so keep the comments coming. Throughout this video, if I say something that isn't 100% accurate or it's a little different from what you know, let me know via the comments. I will go back, hit the books, and make sure that I have the right information moving forward. All right, with that being said, let's get into today's episode. Now, I know it's titled Top 5 $10 Notes, but this video will be about $10 bills, but not in any particular order. Like, this isn't a list of worst to best, my most favorite, the least favorite. It's just, I just want to speak about and display different $10 bills. Now, as we get into it, we will see that all of these notes are of a $10 denomination, but they are different currency types. Now, like I said earlier, I don't like one note more than the other, but I do have the information written down in a particular way. So I'm gonna just read off my notes, and the order is the order. All right, with that being said, let's go. All right, so like I said, I got some $10 bills, 5 in total, and in no particular order, I'm going to speak about them. Now, the $10 bill is the fourth bill printed in sequential order of U.S. currency. And you have the 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, and the $100 note, with number 10 being number 4. Now, the $10 bill has an image of Alexander Hamilton on the obverse. And on the reverse, you have the United States Treasury Building. Now, the Treasury Building was first erected between the years of 1836 and 1969. It is of a Greek Revival architectural style, and it is located at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest in Washington, D.C. Now, the individual on the obverse of the note is Alexander Hamilton. He was never a United States president. He was one of 2 individuals to be on U.S. currency that was never a United States president. Now, he was the very first Secretary of the Treasury, and he died in a pistol duel with Aaron Burr. So sorry to hear that. Now, the first note that I will be speaking about is this note right here. This note is known as a North African note. Now, it is a silver certificate. As always, you can tell the currency type up top. But the thing that one of the many things that is unique about this note is that even though this note is a silver certificate, it has a different color treasury seal, and I will tell you why in a minute. Now, usually silver certificates are identified with a blue treasury seal and blue serial numbers, but this North African silver certificate is special because North African notes came into existence. This note is identified as emergency currency. And emergency currency came into existence because of the conflict that the U.S. participated in World War II. So to pay U.S. servicemen for their participation in conflicts in Europe and North Africa, Congress came up with silver certificates and to pay the service members that was overseas, but they did have a contingency plan in case the money got secured or taken by the enemy. So they said any silver certificate with a yellow treasury seal demonetized. So that was a contingency that was in place by Congress. Super smart idea. So this note made the collection in the top five, starting off the top five because of the importance of the existence of this note and also all the colors that are tied in with this note right here. So let's take a white sheet of paper. And then you got black ink, blue ink, and yellow ink as well, a yellow treasury seal. And all those colors is on the obverse. Then you go to the reverse and you got green ink. So that's one color, 2, 3, 4. So you got 4 colors on this one note. And I don't know, but I want to say, I think this might be the most colorful US note that is small size that isn't in the colorized series. So another reason this note made the collection, the colors that's tied into the note and just the overall importance of this note. This is one I would call one of the MPC's military payment certificate because again, these notes came into existence to pay the service members that was overseas during conflicts in North Africa and Europe. Now this note is series year 1934A, and North African notes had 2 series runs, 1934 and 1934A. So there we go, starting off strong. All right, what we got? Second note, we have series year 1934. And 1934 had something that's special about these notes is that these notes had 2 different color treasury seals. Now this is treasury seal this note is an LGS, a light green seal. And the masses say this is the most aesthetically pleasing note. Any note, regardless of denomination, that has the LGS. And I could see why. Now, if this note was of not so much condition, but if the grade was a little higher, maybe like a VF, because it's in good condition. You don't see too many bends, folds, creases, anything like that. Now there is some wear to life right here to the lower left, but you don't see any pinholes, any major creases, anything like that. But like I say, if this note was of like a VF, that white would be maybe a little whiter and that green seal will pop a little bit more. Like, it's a very beautiful green. I call it olive green. So it's a very nice color green on this stark white and black canvas. So that's why I got this note in the top 5 because of the color of the treasury seal. And something else, I also like the length of this clause. Now this note is 1934, as we see right there. Series year 1934, and can be identified up top as well. Now the 1934 has the clause, and it states that this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and is redeemable in lawful money at the United States Treasury or at any Federal Reserve bank. The previous series year was series year 1928C, and that was the last series year to have the gold clause in it. But 1934 still identifies these notes as legal tender and that they are redeemable in lawful money. Now, previous series years later, the clause reduces in size, and it just states that this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. But I just like the length of the verbiage. It looks and just reads like a contract, like a legally binding document from the government. So that's another reason I got this one in the collection, because of the length of the clause. But there we go. The image on all these notes on the obverse and reverse are the same. And fun fact, I tried to look up what type of model car this is. This is an indescribable. This is, I can't come up with the word. But this car is not a legit car. It's pretty much a fictional vehicle. Now, they say that it looks like the Ford Model T or a Hotmobile. But from what I researched, they say that the United States government, i.e. the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, or the Department of Treasury, cannot endorse a private company or vehicle. So it's just think of a kid that just drew a car with some wheels on it. And that is what that is. It's not an actual car. Next note we have is, we got this note right here. This is a gold certificate. Now, gold certificates are redeemable in gold via the clause up top. And it states that this certifies that there have been deposited in the treasury of the United States of America $10 in gold coin payable to the bearer on demand. Now, the clause is all of the writing, and a note is a legally binding document from the government to the individual that's holding this note. And this is the obligation. And once this note, if you was to take this note to the treasury, they have to live up to the obligation that is stated on it. And it says that there has been deposited $10 in gold to the bearer on this note, to the bearer of this note. You just have to request it. So they have to live up to the honor of the words that's on this document. Now, gold certificates are the only notes that are not identified up top. They are identified to the left of the image via the word gold certificate. And I pulled out my high-speed magnifying glass to make sure that was a gold treasury seal. And it is, because you can see some Latin up top. You can see the crest in the center. And you can see the chevron right there. Now, I think that the gold treasury seal was placed down first and the clause was stamped over it. And it states that this certificate is legal tender and the amount thereof, and payment of all debts and dues, public and private. And not to mention, it says gold certificate right though. Now, gold certificates are identified with a gold treasury seal and gold serial numbers. All right, so like I said earlier, gold certificates are redeemable in gold at the Department of Treasury. You just got to go up there and say, I want to exchange this paper for precious metal, i.e. gold. And they will either give you a gold bar that equals the monetary value, or gold coins, gold pieces, something like that. Now, Executive Order 61 02 of April 5th, 1933, followed by the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, required the surrender of all gold certificates. That is small and large size. However, on April 24th, 1964, the Secretary of Treasury, C. Douglas Dillon, removed all restrictions on the acquisition of gold certificates, making them legal for purchase and to be collected again. Now, this note is of series year 1928. See there, and we see it right there. And this is in the collection. Oh, also, look at that right there. It's identified to the right and to the left of the note, gold certificate. Now, this note made it in the collection just on the fact that it's a gold certificate, and I wanted to have at least one of every currency type in the collection, and this is what I got. There is no change to the image just because it is a different currency type. It is still the U.S. Treasury bill and gold certificate. So there we go. All right. Moving on to the next note. What we got? We have another type of currency. This is a national currency note, i.e. a Federal Reserve bank note. Now, Federal Reserve bank notes or national currencies are identified with brown treasury seals and brown serial numbers. Now, the thing that makes these notes special and unique is the fact that they are endorsed and supported not by the Federal Reserve System, but the individual Federal Reserve Bank. Now, there are 12 banks that comprise of the Federal Reserve System, but this note is endorsed by one specific Federal Reserve Bank out of the 12, and that bank is the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Now, it is endorsed via the clause. Now, it says that national currency secured by the United States bonds deposited, secured by United States bonds deposited with the Treasurer of the United States of America, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, New York, will pay to the bearer on demand $10. So this clause states that this note is endorsed by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The monetary value of this note is endorsed by that entity. Not all 12 Federal Reserve banks, but the one Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Still nothing different in regards to the image on the obverse or the reverse. Something else that is interesting about Federal Reserve notes or national currency notes is that these notes have 4 signatures. Now, to the top right, to the top left, you have Register of the Treasury. To the top right, you have the Treasurer of the United States. Now, to the lower left, you have the signature of the Deputy Governor. And to the lower right, you have the Governor. Now, someone told me that these signatures at the bottom are tied into the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, it's slipping my mind right now if it is Federal Reserve banks or national reserve banks to where this signature ties into the bank, to the Federal Reserve Bank. I don't think those signatures tie into the Federal Reserve Bank. I think these signatures tie into the state, because if it was the signatures of the Federal Reserve Bank, it would say cashier and president. Now, I've seen that on, I think, national banknotes. I don't think that is the case for this right here. I think These are the signatures. This is the deputy governor of New York and the governor of New York. If I'm wrong, let me know via the comments, steer me in the right direction. But I think the signatures are different based on the currency type, if it's a Federal Reserve banknote or a national banknote, or a national banknote. But I think these signatures tie into the state, not the bank. And also something else with this note is that it is a star note. So this is a replacement Federal Reserve banknote, and it's filled in. So that's another reason that this note is in the collection. I made a reveal video not too long ago debuting this note, and really happy that this note is in the collection. So more to follow on this note and this currency type. All right, last note, what we got? We have got a silver certificate. Now, a traditional silver certificate, currency type up top. These silver certificates are identified with blue treasury seals and blue serial numbers. I got this in the collection because of this right here. I just love how this 10, this numeral is bright blue. And that is why I got this note in the collection. Now, silver certificates are redeemable in silver, just like the gold certificates, via the clause. This certifies that there is on deposit in the Treasury of the United States of America $10 in silver payable to the bearer on demand. So, boom. I just like big blue image right here, big blue image right there, but that blue numeral right there is what's doing it for me. So there we go. As we see, this note is series year 1934A, and there we go. All right, I don't want to drag this out too much longer, but again, in no particular order, that's what we got. You rank them. How would you rank these 5 notes from 1 through 5? Number 1 being the best. Put it down in the comments. All right, that's all we got for this one. Until next time, keep it legal, keep it tender. Talk to you soon.